In this video, we'll explore the History panel, including its uses and limitations. The History panel includes basic functions that enable you to undo and redo changes that you've made to your photo, and it presents this in a visual way for us, cataloguing each change that we've made and recording these as states. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the brush tool to make a few brushstrokes on a new A4 document. Now, without knowledge of the History panel, you might expect to undo a few changes just by navigating to Edit, Undo, or Command Z on a Mac or Control Z on a Windows PC. This function doesn't quite work in Photoshop like it does in other applications. Instead, Photoshop will only undo your most recent change, restoring to your previous state. Any further use of this function will actually redo that change that you've just tried to make. This might not seem to make much sense at first. However, it can be quite handy when trying to preview your photo with and without your last change. But it doesn't help us undo several changes at once. There is a way in the Edit menu to repeatedly undo changes, however. This can be done by repeatedly navigating to Edit, Step Backwards to undo many changes, or Edit, Step Forwards to redo changes. However, this method can be irritating if we're trying to reverse a lot of changes. To open the History panel, you must navigate to Window, History. You can also click on this icon here. By default, in the History panel we can see the previous 50 states of our file maximum. They're listed in chronological order and are detailed with the names of the tools that have been used, just to give you a clue on what action has been recorded. You can undo as far back as you like by clicking on each state, but again you are limited to 50 states by default. If you step backwards and then start working again, you will erase all states after that change, starting a new set of history states. And you can see this in the History panel now. With the default settings, not everything is saved in the History panel. Visibility changes, for example, are not recorded. You can notice that by toggling the previous layer on and off. The amount of states that are recorded and shown in the History panel is limited at first, and this is to prevent using too much memory, which could negatively impact your computer's performance. You can override this, however, by navigating to Preferences, Performance. Here you can adjust the amount of history states to 1000, but again, this may affect your computer's performance. Creating snapshots within your History panel is a handy way of recording many states of your document for quick restoration at a later point. To explain this, I'm going to open up a photo of a canary that I have from a previous video, and then I'll make some changes to it, and then I'll go to the History panel and press the Snapshot button. I could then make some changes and record another snapshot. I can now quickly flick between the different snapshots, and these could represent different outcomes or versions of your document. Clicking on a snapshot may remove any later changes that you've made in the History panel. However, the snapshots themselves will not be removed or overwritten.